Then last-minute drama. Almost at the end of the rally, Tony Pond's excellent third place suddenly looks in jeopardy as the Rover Vitesse struggles into the St. John's service area in obvious trouble.
The torque tube's broken. That's something that supports the rear axle. The car doesn't like that stage up there. It's the second time we stopped in there.
You actually stopped, did you?
Well, we crawled out.
The mechanics crawl in under the rear of the Rover to try and repair the damage, but there's precious little service time available.
A bit, but I think it'll be all right.
Luckily, it kept going.
How much time has it cost you?
About a minute. Not much. As long as they can fix it, that's the problem.
Do you think they will be able to?
It depends how much damage it's done while it's run for the 7 or 8 miles, all flying around under there.
But the Austin Rover team work wonders and complete the repairs just in time. Pond responds to this and sets 5 fastest times in the final 6 stages to retain his third place.
100.
Micale is on his way to a famous victory. Bertie Fisher is second. Sunshine towards the end of the event pleases all the drivers. For Per Eklund, his 7th place means he wins the Group A driver's title. So Micale cruises to a well-earned first place by a massive 11-minute margin over Bertie Fisher. No longer with brake problems, the Irish Opel driver finishes the Manx Rally in his familiar style. Third place for Pond emphasizes the potential of the Rover Vitesse as a rally car. It has totally dominated the Group A class, much to the pleasure of Tony's many fans on the island. Local man Ian Corkill finishes in 4th place, and this despite one huge moment when his car left the road and leapt the hedge at over 100 miles an hour. 5th is Theo Bengry and his Opel Ascona. And 6th, the Nissan 240 RS of Davy Evans. A good year for Toyota GB ends with their 2nd successive manufacturer's title, thanks to Per Eklund and co-driver Dave Witchick, who's on his honeymoon. I suppose that's one way to spend it. As the AC Delco Opel Manta 400 drives up the finish ramp on Douglas Seafront
stage north of Holtwhistle. As for the rally itself, some of our local drivers are up with the leaders. This report from Ian Pronovich.
For years, the Scandinavians have dominated rallying. This year, it's no exception. The top 3 places have been occupied by Swedes and Finns, and no wonder considering their standard of driving. Hannu Micale, who's won this event 4 times in the last 6 years, made a miraculous comeback after dropping to 28th place yesterday. But today, Micale was still 7 minutes slower than the leader, Swede Stig Blomqvist, and not making much impression on Blomqvist's lead. Despite some early frost, there were some fast times in the forest stages. Darrell Wiedner from Morpeth was doing well in a 4-wheel drive Quattro. Wiedner's car misfiring there, and obviously in need of attention at the service halt in Carlisle. Not a long stop, but time for refuelling for man and machine, including the car which is now challenging for the lead and driven by Hannu Micale.
How are things going this morning?
Oh, they have gone better this morning than last night.
Of course, your accident put you back yesterday, but you've caught up quite miraculously since then.
Yeah, I think we are 2nd now, so I can't complain.
Malcolm Wilson from West Cumbria, how are things going for you?
I think it's going all right. We had one small problem through the night there. We broke a drive shaft, which cost us a bit of time, but other than that, we've had no problems really.
And you're about 20th now?
Yeah, we're 20th. We're leading our class. Yeah, that's where we are at the moment, yeah.
And confident of moving up?
Oh, I don't know. There's a long, long way to go. Anything can happen.
How is the car at the moment?
Very good. It's the last few stages have been very, very icy and quite treacherous.
Wiedner, this year's rally champion from Morpeth, arrives at Carlisle. He's putting up a good performance, the highest placed private entry and the highest placed driver who isn't fully professional.
Darrell, how are things going at the moment?
We're lying 11th, but we've got a broken turbo pipe, so we've got problems.
We saw you earlier in the forest and it was backfiring quite a bit and
Yes.
misfiring.
Yeah.
But you're certainly quite a long way up the field there, quite a good performance, certainly.
Well, we've had problems with the motor car, but obviously it's a long, long rally. We're only into day 3 of day 5, so as long as we can stay on top of the problems, you know, if we can be in the top 10 tonight, it gives us a good opportunity for the final 2 days.
After servicing, it's on the way again from Carlisle Castle, scorching down the cobblestones, which have been polished through the centuries by the marching feet of soldiers. This year there was a new stage in Lowther Wildlife Park, where the animals have been carefully locked away from the excitement. The cars are heading for an overnight stop at Windermere. And the latest news is that Blomqvist is still ahead, with Micale second, 7 minutes behind. Jimmy McRae is the first British.
This extraordinary purpose-built creation is Austin Rover Group's bold and dramatic bid to recapture World Rally Championship glory for Britain. A lightweight, four-wheel drive, mid-engined MG Metro, codenamed 6R4, packing a stunning all-aluminium V6 punch and a power-to-weight ratio sufficient even in its prototype stage to be the equal of the all-conquering Audi Quattro. It's the ultimate performance development of Britain's best-selling small car. Designed from the outset, in conjunction with the Williams Formula One Grand Prix team, to be ultra-competitive in international rallies, and driven by Britain's fastest rally driver, Tony Pond. Announced yesterday, its 1984 programme will be one of testing and development, in preparation for a World Championship debut in 1985.
270 stage miles. The competition is spread over 3 days in which every second will count.
This is a short rally where you have to go very quickly from the drop of the flag, and that's what we'll be doing. It's unlike the circuit where you wait and see what people are up to and play yourself in. You can't do that here. This rally is probably about a third of the length of the Circuit of Ireland, so you've got to go flat from the word go.
Of course, some of the opposition is coming from this amazing machine behind you. How do you rate that?
Well, I'm sure it'll be flying. If it stays going, it'll be difficult to do anything about it, I think. But we'll be keeping an eye on it and doing our best that it doesn't catch us up.
The 6R4 MG Metro making its international rally debut. A new generation of rally car where aerodynamics have been carefully considered. Tony, we're hearing amazing things of wing settings and 150-mile-an-hour gearing for this machine.
Oh, all things are possible. Yes, we can change the wings, obviously. We can have more or less downforce, and we've geared the car pretty long for these first day anyway. Then we'll consider whether we go on the shorter gearing for the second day. The thing's got so much acceleration on the long gears, I'll probably stay on that. Less work for me.
The aerodynamics has obviously really come into rallying.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's going to be the way everybody goes in the future, really. I think it's fair to say we were the first with it, and it certainly makes terrific differences to the car.
Also eager to know the potential of the Metro, last-minute entry Bertie Fisher.
We were on the Scottish Rally 2 weeks ago, the round of our British Open Championship, and we waited until we see how we get on there before we really tried hard to get an entry here. So we were very grateful for the support of Dealer Opel Team Ireland and Alumac for stepping in at the last minute with the necessary finance to do the event. So
I know it's an event you'd very much like to win. You've led it for the last 2 years, but you've had your problems.
Yeah, we've hit about every bank in Donegal now, so we reckon this year we can probably get around.
Billy Coleman, last year's winner, leads the field out to the first of 33 stages. The Friday stages are known to be extremely fast, and the Rothmans Porsche settles in right away. Their fears of Tony Pond in the Metro, however, are well justified, as this projectile, which is geared to do 150 miles an hour, is 20 seconds quicker than anyone on Letter Logue. So that 20-second advantage represents 2 seconds per mile. Bertie Fisher and Austin Fraser are cautious at first, but the tarmac star is to be the rally's first major retirement when a back axle seizes after only the 3rd stage. For Austin Micale and Christy Farrell in the Shell Oil's Dealer Opel Team Ireland Manta, the time has come to win. They have been second in Donegal for the last 2 years, and above all, they want to beat the man of Irish rallying, Billy Coleman. Manta 400s predominate the top 10. Another tarmac ace, Welshman Phil Collins, on his third visit to the county. Vincent Bonner, the local hero who won the event in 1983, beds in his Ascona gently. Cyril Bolton, Manta 400, has his STP Tarmac Championship to defend. Donegal is the third round. Former clock of the course, James Cullen, is proving to be the fastest local in the Tony Kelly car's RS 1800, and it looks it. But as predicted by many, the Metro's challenge isn't to last. It starts its last stage, stage 6, now 1 minute 45 seconds ahead, but this is the last we're going to see of it. Tony, to be in the lead and to go out so early on must be very disappointing.
It is, because the car was going very, very well. In fact, we weren't, in the end, trying that hard, and it was still doing very good times.
And what has actually happened?
The throttle jammed open, and with 400 horsepower, that's quite a problem.
And it's wrecked the gearbox, did somebody say?
No, it blew the engine. By the time you sort of get to there, it's gone.
Meanwhile, at the Castlefin service area, Billy Coleman is in trouble. The Rothmans Porsche has lost his sump guard, forcing Coleman to slow over the bumpy stages to preserve the car. Co-driver Ronan Morgan explains.
We lost a lot of time on the last 3 stages because we had a problem with the sump guard at the last service area and we couldn't get it back on, so we lost about 40 seconds to Austin Micale on stage 5 and about 10 on the second one and about 2 on the last one, so we are in fact second to him now.
Austin, it's really all been happening out there. You seem to now be in the lead.
Yeah, actually we had problems on the third, I think it was the 4th stage this morning. We got a punch about 3 miles in the end of it. At that stage we were lying second to Tony Pond and we dropped over 30 seconds, so I think we dropped back into 3rd or 4th. But over the last 3 stages we have pulled back up to second, and I think on the last stage the Tony stopped, so that means that we're leading at the moment if he doesn't come off the stage.
The first day has been good for Austin Micale. He leads his arch-rival Billy Coleman by, in fact, 40 seconds. And already these 2 hard chargers have pulled ahead of Vincent Bonner here in 3rd place. Mike Patterson is now the top visitor, followed by Collins, Cullen and McDade. Saturday morning and the start of the hardest day of the Shell Donegal Rally. Today there are 15 stages to cover, and many of these are Donegal classics like Derrylaggy and Atlantic Drive. Tyre choice is critical on these changing conditions, but Micale has made the right choice, and unknown to him, his lead is about to be dramatically extended. Billy Coleman has been off the road in Atlantic Drive. The Rothmans Porsche has hit a rock and the gap between the leaders is now 1 minute 26 seconds. A gap that to many would seem unsurmountable, but the Corkman now has other ideas. Vincent Bonner has also been in the wars. He has dropped time through a puncture, but still holds 3rd place. Fourth place man Mike Patterson has closed on the Donegal crew in his G3 Escort. He, however, has also having to press on as only 54 seconds separate 4th and 8th place men in this sensationally close contest. Fifth place Phil Collins is enjoying this battle, but he is equally determined to finish this year, as on his 2 previous visits he has ended up in the Donegal scenery. It has been a bad morning for James Cullen. He has dropped 2 places to 8th due to the wrong tyre choice. But he continues to be the entertainer of the event. The other Letterkenny driver, James McDade, with the son of the event's sponsor, Rory Kennedy, aboard, has moved up the leaderboard to 6th place in his Opel Ascona 400. McDade is reveling in these favourite stages, but his pleasure is about to come to a sudden and expensive end on the first run over Kindrum Lake. Miraculously, nobody is hurt, and McDade and Kennedy climb safely from the wreckage, a testament to the safety regulations in rally cars. The approach has been wrong at this 100-mile-an-hour jump. The Ascona climbs the wall, and thanks to the excellent marshalling by the Donegal Motor Club, no spectators have been hurt. Kenny McKinstry has had an unusually slow start to Donegal. A stomach upset on the first day has kept the fiery Ulsterman below his normal pace. But now we are seeing vintage McKinstry in 8th place and climbing. Possibly one of the most astonishing performances of all comes from John Lyons in his standard Honda CRX. He is 6th fastest over Kindrum, shaming many in more powerful machinery. The leader returns to the Milford service area, unaware that his pursuers are having another slight problem.
Running, you say you got a bit of misfire there?
It's just a slight misfire from it's not really a problem, but we're dropping 2 or 3 seconds at the start of every stage. It clears itself within about 200 or 300 yards. But we've just changed some injectors now, see if we can sort it out.
While they work on the Porsche, Vincent Bonner recalls his morning of problems.
The first stage out this morning, everything went okay. The second stage, we had a puncture about maybe 4 miles from the end of it. And the next stage, the fan belt came off and we had to drive 3 miles very slow on it. So then we got it repaired and we came off the third fanning stage, I think it was, and over the ump and busted the oil pump. But we managed to get in here.
Kindrum stage on the shores of Sheephaven Loch for the second time. Micale has relaxed the pace in the Manta, possibly too much, and Coleman has been catching all day. But as Austin goes through, Billy has a problem, as Vincent Bonner, stricken with a puncture, is ahead of him on the road. The Porsche is catching him and he can't afford any delay. He must pass the Ascona before the end of the stage. Bonner's puncture has made him very vulnerable to the attentions of the pursuing pack, who are now snapping at the mud flaps of the Donegal crew. Patterson is now 5th in the year's escort, but it is all academic, as less than a minute separates 3rd to 6th places. Phil Collins is 6th in his self-prepared Manta 400, but the rapidly closing Cyril Bolton in his Presspart Manta 400 is about to catch and move ahead of both of them. The Lancashire man is really charging today. James Cullen, 7th on the road, has had a problem over a wrong approach at the service area. He continues exhaustless under the threat of disqualification. And the battle between the two escorts, now almost extinct in international rallying, is a joy to behold as Kenny McKinstry entertains the crowds. Pat Dunyan, whose brother Mike was in early retirement, upholds the Donegal Motor Club's honours as the second member inside the top 10. And Pat Kirk completes the hit parade with his modified Nissan, which had an argument with the scenery on the first day. Micale has turned the wick up again as Coleman has totally dominated the day and he is beginning to get a bit close for comfort. Billy is belting. By the third service at Milford, there is only 5 seconds difference on the road, but penalties have to be counted in. Bolton has taken 3rd. In 15 stages, he has gained 5 places, but he is unlikely to climb much higher unless something gives up front. Vincent Bonner's puncture in Kindrum 2 has cost him a place, and he still has to worry about Collins, who is very close behind. As Collins eases his mantle closer to Bonner, all the attention turns to the leaders, and Austin Micale begins to regret any leeway that he may have given his great rival earlier in the day.
We've had 12 fastest times out of 15, so we've caught up almost the complete deficit at this point. I think, in fact, there's 9 seconds between us now, I think, including all road penalties. So there's 40 miles of competitive driving tomorrow to clinch it now. So.
This is news. The gap is thought to be 39 seconds. What penalty is he referring to?
Well, I think what happened was leaving Park Ferme upon his car wouldn't start this morning, and we had exactly the same experience on the Circuit of Ireland at Easter, where our car wouldn't start, and it's automatic. You lose 30, there's a 30-second penalty if the engine isn't running, leaving an overnight Park Ferme or control. So I think it's 9 seconds. I'm sure it's 9 seconds.
Billy's protest is rejected by the officials, so the gap is back to 39 seconds by Sunday morning. With 8 stages to go, it should be enough for Austin Micale, but with Coleman's blood up, you can never underestimate him, and nobody knows that better than Micale. Coleman and Rothmans throw everything into the final stages of the Shell Donegal International. There are helicopters in the air, and on the ground the Corkman has thrown caution to the wind in what seems to be a desperate chase. Also under pressure, Cyril Bolton trying very hard to defend that 3rd place, so hardly won on yesterday's stages. Phil Collins and Roger Freeman are destined for 4th, as they have now overtaken Vincent Bonner, and with 7 of the top 10 still absolutely on the limit, the huge crowds are loving every second of it. And seconds are what it's all about in the Shell Donegal International. Bonner's over-enthusiasm begins to show, but he has driven superbly, showing that 1983 was no flash in the pan. Bonner and Seamus McGettigan will finish 5th. But all eyes turn to the leaders for one of the greatest rally climaxes of all time, the penultimate stage, and there's only 8 seconds in it. Both are absolutely on the limit. Micale is safely through, and here comes Coleman, as you will seldom see him, at 10 tenths. Then comes the sensational news. Austin has overshot, Coleman leads by 1 second, and the last stage has been cancelled due to spectator problems. The Rothmans camp can hardly believe it, as Bill Morrison and Dave Richards congratulate their hero.
It don't come closer than that. Did you see the action in the last one? Yes. You were obviously giving it everything. I need rest up underneath. So you're happy anyway? Oh yeah. A bit close for comfort, but anyway.
That has got to be the understatement of the year.
We went out this morning with what seemed like an impossible task. We drove all yesterday with a certain target. We got within 9 seconds of that last night, as we thought, and we came out this morning, we discovered we were a further half minute back for reasons we've already discussed, which was a hell of a blow, because we understood yesterday that penalty was being applied to the other car, and it was subsequently deleted. We're not quite sure why. So it meant that we were down to today to make up another 30 seconds, and I must say it looked quite impossible, but thank goodness we made it anyway, and the car went like an absolute dream. I'm fortunate to drive for one of the top teams in the world, and I think your driving rises to that position, and I felt I had to do justice to the team and the chaps and the great group of mechanics, and you know, they had kept the car going for us after various mishaps, and I really felt I owed, you know, to all of us to give it everything. So we made it anyway.
10-10 driving all the time.
Absolutely, especially the last couple today now. The last 3.
The Letterkenny Accordion Band leads the victorious Rothmans Porsche to the ramp for the closest finish in Irish rallying memory. Coleman is still king, but let's not forget the gallant drive by Austin Micale in the Shell Oil's Dealer Opel Team Ireland Manta. It could be kinder to call him the second winner. Cyril Bolton was third, retaining his STP lead, Phil Collins fourth, Vincent Bonner fifth, and Mike Patterson sixth. Group A went to Eamon Harvey in the Sunbeam, and Group N to David Wright in the Peugeot 205 GTI. But Sunday in Donegal belonged to Billy Coleman in one of the greatest and certainly the most thrilling victories of his long career. In rallying, every second counts, and this was never more graphically illustrated than on the 1985 Shell Donegal International Rally.
Ford has had a long and successful involvement with rallying, its cars appealing to a broad spectrum of drivers, sometimes for no better reason than the price.
Climbing high up above the road, we pick up Slay and Martin in the Ford Popular, cheapest car in the world. 209 is an old friend, Nancy Mitchell and Bill Wisdom. Just look at the gadgets in the Zephyr.
These gadgets certainly look very basic by today's standards, but these cars and the enthusiastic amateurs that drove them formed the grassroots from which modern rallying would grow. As the sport became more organised, so events like East Africa's Safari Rally appeared, capturing the imagination of the motorsporting world. These rallies were real tests of strength and endurance, not only for the drivers, but for their vehicles as well. And manufacturers were quick to see the advantages of an association with this growing sport. Full works teams appeared, and cars like the Cortina Lotus provided Ford with much of their early success. But the Cortina also provided the basis for a new car that would become the most successful in rallying history and would dominate the sport for more than a decade. The Escort epitomized Ford's motorsporting aspirations, a production-based car that could compete and win at international level and also be within the budget of the many smaller teams and amateurs that make up the broad base of rallying at a national level. In the hands of such great names as Harry Vatanen, Hannu Micale and Britain's Roger Clark, the Escort notched up victory after victory. In the 1970s, the RAC rally was won no less than 8 consecutive times by an Escort, and in '79 the factory team won 5 of the 8 World Championship events entered and finished second on the remaining 3 to take both the manufacturer's title and the driver's crown for Bjorn Valdegaard in his Escort. The 80s brought a second world driver's title, Harry Vatanen winning the 1981 championship in a privately entered Escort some 14 years after the car had first appeared and well after its production had ceased. However, the 80s also saw an end to the Escort's domination with the arrival of more specialized and modified cars such as the Opel Ascona 400. This was the start of the Group B era. Purpose-built rally cars like Audi's four-wheel drive Quattro were not long in coming, but the advent of these supercars was to cause much controversy within the sport. Many of the manufacturers, including Ford, were unhappy with the move away from production-type cars and simply wound down their rallying activities. For those who remained, development went on apace. Wings, spoilers, superchargers and turbos became commonplace, pushing speeds higher and higher. The Group B era was apparently here to stay. In 1986, after more than 5 years away from top-class rallying, Ford made the decision to return to the sport. But their only competitive option was to produce their own